I thought I had everything figured out. My life, my dreams, my goals. Everything was in motion, moving forward, and I was driving it all. At least that's what I convinced myself. I was independent, strong, and always chasing after the next thing, the next level. But then there was Darren, my husband. Calm, steady, always looking ahead, planning for the future. He was the anchor I needed, or at least I used to think so. Lately, though, he started feeling like a weight, dragging me down. I couldn't see it at the time, but now looking back, I realize how unfair it was. He wasn't holding me back. He was just trying to keep me grounded while I was running off to chase things that didn't even make sense. It was late one evening when I said it. "You're holding me back." The words felt like they came out of nowhere, but once they left my lips, I couldn't take them back. Darren didn't get angry. He didn't yell. He just looked at me like I was a stranger. His face, that face I had loved for years, went unreadable. He didn't even flinch. He just stared at me, like he didn't recognize who I was anymore. "Is that what you think?" he asked, his voice low, hurt, but calm. Too calm. I didn't answer right away. I just stood there, trying to make myself believe what I'd said, even though a part of me regretted it the second the words left my mouth. I didn't mean. I started to backpedal, but he held up his hand, cutting me off. "Number, it's fine. You've made it clear." And with that, he walked away. Not storming out, not slamming doors, just walking away. That was the moment I should have realized something was changing. The next few days were strange. He was still there physically, but I could feel the distance between us growing, like some invisible wall was slowly creeping up. No sweet texts, no goodnight kisses. He'd go to bed before me and sleep with his back to me. I convinced myself it was just a phase, that he was overreacting. It was always me who was the one who needed space, right? But I wasn't the one being ignored. I wasn't the one being distant. And after a few days, I started to feel it. The shift. That night, I saw the post. It was from Sean, Darren's cousin. It was a picture of Darren at some sports bar, grinning like he was living his best life. He had a drink in his hand, surrounded by friends, his face completely unbothered. I clicked on the picture again, hoping to see some clue, something that would explain why he was smiling so wide when I could barely hold it together. But there was nothing, just him, looking free. And me? I was stuck, staring at my phone, unable to tear my eyes away. I didn't know what to think. Was he really out having fun? Was he really over me already? Or was he just pretending? But I didn't have time to process it. My phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Darren. "I'll be by this weekend to get the rest of my stuff," he wrote. I stared at it, feeling my breath catch in my throat. My world cracked open, piece by piece. I tried to swallow the lump in my throat, but it wouldn't go away. I typed out a response. "What are you talking about? Why?" But before I could hit send, I deleted it. Instead, I sent him the one thing that felt right. "Please don't leave. We can work this out." I waited for a reply, but nothing came. Not then, not the next hour, not the next day. It was like he was slipping further and further away. I knew I should have left it alone, let him have his space. But I couldn't, not when everything inside me was screaming for him to come back. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I begged. I called him. "Darren, please, we can fix this. I didn't mean what I said. You know that, right? I was just mad. You know how I get when I'm mad," I said, my voice cracking. There was silence on the other end for what felt like forever. Then, finally, his voice, cold and distant. "I know you didn't mean it, Lindsay, but I can't keep waiting for you to figure it out." I sank into the couch, my head spinning. My mind was racing. "What does that mean?" I asked, more to myself than to him. "You've been telling me for months now that I'm holding you back, so I guess it's time for me to move on, huh?" he said, every word laced with resignation. No, Darren, please. I I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Don't go. We're better than this. We've been through worse. But the words felt hollow as soon as they left my mouth. I'll be by this weekend to get my things. And with that, the line went dead. I sat there staring at the phone. His words replayed in my head. He was done. I could feel it. He wasn't coming back. The weekend arrived, and I didn't know what to expect. Part of me still thought this was some kind of test. Maybe if I ignored it, if I acted like nothing was wrong, he'd come back to me. But he didn't. At around noon, I heard the sound of his key in the door. My heart stopped. My breath caught. I stood there in the hallway, frozen. The door opened, and there he was. Darren. But not the Darren I knew, not the man I married. He walked in, not even looking my way, just straight to the bedroom, moving quickly, like he had no time to waste. I couldn't stop myself. I followed him. "You're really doing this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but it shook. He didn't answer, just kept packing his things. The sounds of his footsteps, his clothes being shoved into bags, were the only things filling the room. "You're just going to walk away like I'm a stranger?" I pushed, but he didn't flinch. "What do you want me to say?" he muttered, his back still turned to me as he continued. "I've been waiting for you to figure it out, but you couldn't. I've had enough, Lindsay." I felt the anger surge. "Don't give me that. You think I'm just supposed to stand here and let you go without a fight?" He finally turned around, his face completely blank. "You've been fighting for something that's not even there anymore, Kyle," he said, his tone calm but sharp. "I'm not the problem, Lindsay. You are." "Me?" I couldn't believe it. "You're the one who's giving up, after everything." "I'm not giving up. I'm just done waiting." His words hit me like a slap. I stood there trying to absorb it all. "So that's it? You're just done with me?" He didn't answer, just kept packing his things, a slight shake to his hands that betrayed how much this was hurting him too. I stood at the doorway, watching him, my heart breaking with every movement. This wasn't the man I married. This wasn't even a man I recognized anymore. This was a stranger, someone I'd pushed too far. He grabbed the last of his things and walked toward the door. He didn't look back, not once. "Darren, wait," I said, grabbing his arm before he could leave. My hand shook as I held on to him. I wasn't thinking anymore. I just wanted him back. He paused but didn't turn to face me. I could feel the weight of everything between us. "I'm sorry," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I didn't mean it. Please, don't go." He sighed. It wasn't an angry sigh, but a tired one. "I know you didn't mean it," he said, his voice soft but final. "But I can't keep waiting for you to get it, Lindsay. I just can't." He gently pulled my hand off his arm, as if I was something fragile he didn't want to break. And then he walked out. The day Darren left, something inside me shattered. I tried to keep busy, tried to act like everything was normal. I folded laundry, checked my phone like it was any other day, and pretended the pain wasn't sitting deep inside me, gnawing away at everything. But it was there, heavy, sharp. It hurt in a way I couldn't ignore. I should have felt something more, shouldn't I? He'd been my everything for so long, the man who kept me grounded when I needed it, the man who worked so hard for us. And yet all I had done was push him away. The house felt empty. I walked through the rooms, remembering the moments we'd shared, the laughter, the quiet mornings, the way we'd always made it work. But that was before I decided I wanted more, before I pushed him away, told him he was holding me back. The silence was overwhelming. I wanted to scream, to do something, anything, to break the stillness, but I couldn't. I just sat there staring at the walls. It felt like my life was collapsing in slow motion. Then a knock on the door. I jumped, my heart racing in my chest. I didn't want to open it, didn't want to see him, but I couldn't ignore it either. I stood, my legs shaky as I walked to the door, my hands trembling as I reached for the handle. There he was, Darren, standing in the doorway, looking exactly the same as he did the day he left. But something was different. His eyes were hard, distant. He wasn't the man I knew anymore. He wasn't my husband. He was someone else, a stranger I had lost the chance to understand. "Hey," I said, forcing my voice to sound casual. Too casual. I crossed my arms, trying to protect myself from the rawness of the situation. "What's up?" He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at me, his eyes scanning me as if he was seeing me for the first time. I wanted to say something, to apologize, to explain myself, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he stepped inside and walked toward the bedroom. There was no rush in his movements, but there was something resolute in the way he packed his things, as though he knew exactly what he was doing, exactly where he was going. And with every item he stuffed into that bag, it felt like he was packing up pieces of my heart. Each item was a reminder of what we'd lost. I watched him, trying to act like I wasn't falling apart inside, but I wasn't fooling anyone. Not him, not me. "You're really doing this?" I asked, my voice shaky. It came out more like a plea than a question, but I didn't care. Darren didn't respond at first. He just zipped up a bag and moved to the next one. His face was unreadable, like he had already made his decision and wasn't looking back. "I thought we could work this out," I added, my words coming faster now, desperate. I couldn't stop them. "You don't have to do this, Darren. We've been through worse." He stopped for a moment, and I could see his jaw tighten. His silence said more than his words ever could. He didn't need to speak. He was already done. But I wasn't. "You don't get it, Lindsay," he said quietly, finally breaking the silence. His voice wasn't angry, just tired. "You never saw me. You never saw what I was building for us. You never appreciated the work I put in." His words hit me harder than any slap could have. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but deep down, I knew he was right. I had spent so much time building my own dreams, trying to push forward, trying to be strong and independent, that I had completely ignored what he was doing for us. I was so focused on chasing my vision of success that I forgot what really mattered. Us. What we had. "Darren, I started, but he cut me off. "I gave you everything, Lindsay. I tried to be patient, but you kept pushing me away, and now you're acting like you want to fix it. But it's too late. I'm done." My throat tightened. I wanted to scream at him, to tell him how much I regretted everything, but I couldn't find the words. Instead, I felt myself falling apart, bit by bit. He walked past me, his bags now packed, and I couldn't stop myself from reaching out. "Please, Darren," I begged, my voice cracking. "Please don't go. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean what I said. I'm sorry." For a second, I saw the softness come back in his eyes, just for a moment, but it was fleeting. It was gone before I could even hold on to it. "I know you didn't mean it, Lindsay," he said quietly, "but I can't keep waiting for you to figure it out. I've been waiting long enough." And that was it, the final nail in the coffin. He had given me every chance to make things right, and I had missed it. I had been too wrapped up in myself, too consumed with my own vision, to notice that I was losing everything. I grabbed his arm as he turned to leave, but he gently pulled away. "I'm sorry," he said, not looking back. "I really am, but I'm done." He walked out the door, and I stood there, staring at the empty space where he had been, the silence overwhelming me. The weight of everything I had done hit me like a ton of bricks. Days passed, but it didn't get better. The house felt colder, emptier. His absence was a constant ache in the pit of my stomach, and no matter how many times I told myself that it was for the best, that he had made his choice, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had ruined something beautiful. I tried calling him. I sent texts, each one more desperate than the last. "Please come back. Please, I'll fix it. We can fix this." But he never replied. Not once. I knew he wouldn't. He was done with me, and I couldn't blame him. I had pushed him to the edge. A few days later, I got a message from his sister. I had always liked her. She had been nothing but kind to me, but now, seeing her name on my phone felt like a dagger. "Darren's staying with me for now," she wrote, her words blunt, no sugarcoating. "He's done trying to make it work." I read it over and over again, trying to make sense of it, but I couldn't. The finality of it hit me like a punch to the gut. He was gone. For good. I put my phone down and sat on the couch, numb. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had never felt so alone. The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions of everyday life. Work, errands, pretending I was okay when I wasn't. But every time I saw something that reminded me of Darren, every time I heard his name or thought about him, it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I hadn't just lost him. I had lost everything. I could see now, with painful clarity, all the things I had taken for granted, the small gestures, the quiet support, the way he made me feel safe when the world felt too chaotic. I had been too focused on my own pride, my own ambitions, to see the man I had been standing next to for so long. And now, I was standing here, with nothing. The weight of my mistakes settled in, heavy and suffocating. There was no going back. Darren was gone, and it was my fault. It was too late to fix it now. The silence after Darren left was worse than the fight. It felt like everything that had once been so loud in our house had been sucked out, leaving nothing but emptiness. Days passed, and I thought maybe it was a bad dream. Maybe I'd wake up and find him at the kitchen table sipping his coffee, telling me how ridiculous I was for thinking he'd ever leave. But I didn't wake up. I kept staring at my phone, hoping for a text, a call, anything. But nothing came. I reached out. I texted him so many times I lost count. I called until my fingers were sore. Still nothing. Then the message came. It was from his sister. "He's done trying to make it work," she wrote. Simple, to the point. No explanation, no sympathy, just finality. And in that single message, it hit me. This was the end of everything we had. This was the story we wrote together, and it was over. I couldn't breathe. I set my phone down and stared at the wall, willing myself to feel something. Anger, sadness, anything. But I couldn't. I felt nothing but numbness. And then the regret started creeping in. I started seeing things clearly. I could see him now, the way he used to leave me little notes when I had bad days, even though I had a million excuses for why I couldn't appreciate them. How he never bought things for himself, always made sure the bills were paid, even when I was too caught up in my own world to notice. How he stood beside me when I got laid off, and instead of saying, "I told you so," he just held me and promised everything would work out. Why hadn't I seen that before? I spent hours thinking about everything I had taken for granted. I remembered the way he'd patiently listen to my rants, never interrupting, just nodding, trying to understand even when he didn't agree. I had accused him of holding me back, but the truth was he was the one who had been holding us together, holding me together. I thought about my kids. They hadn't really said much about Darren's departure at first, but it wasn't long before they started asking questions. "Where's Darren?" my daughter asked one morning, looking up at me with wide, innocent eyes. My heart squeezed. I had prepared myself for this moment, but it didn't make it any easier. I couldn't lie to them, not anymore. "He's not coming back, sweetie," I told her quietly. "He's gone." My son, barely old enough to fully understand, still asked about Darren. "Why's he gone?" he wanted to know, his little face scrunched in confusion. "He just couldn't stay," I said, choking on the words. I couldn't give them the real explanation. I couldn't tell them that their dad's leaving was because I had pushed him too far, because I was too stubborn to see the person right in front of me. It was too much for them. So I stuck with my version of the truth, the one that was just bare enough to keep the tears at bay. But they weren't stupid. They could feel the shift. the absence of someone who had once been a fixture in their lives. I knew this would affect them in ways I couldn't predict. I visited Darren's sister the next day. I had to return a box of his things I had never bothered to pack when he left. It felt too final, but I knew I couldn't keep them, couldn't pretend anymore that everything was normal. She answered the door, and there was something in her eyes. Disappointment. Not the kind that comes with a yelling match, but the kind that comes with the slow realization that someone just isn't going to change. "You here to drop off his stuff?" she asked quietly, her voice flat. I nodded, my throat tight. She let me in, but her gaze never left me. She didn't need to say anything. I knew what she was thinking. I was the reason he was gone. I had made the choice to chase my own dreams without considering how it might affect him. And now, he was gone. She didn't have to say it. It was in her eyes, in the way she moved, the way she silently handed me the box and showed me out without a single word of comfort. And that was when it hit me. Sometimes karma doesn't strike like lightning. Sometimes it's just someone realizing they can't keep doing it anymore, that they've waited too long, and they're tired of being the one who's always there, only to be hurt. Sometimes it's just walking away. I left her house, the box clutched in my hands like it was holding the last remnants of everything I had lost. As I sat in my car, I thought about how Darren had changed over the last few months, how he'd grown distant, how he'd stopped fighting for us. But what if he had already stopped fighting before that? What if he'd already given everything he had to give, and I was the one who hadn't seen it? I don't know if Darren will ever come back. Part of me still clings to the hope that he will, but I can feel it slipping away. I told myself I'd change. I told myself I'd fix this. But I've come to realize that some things can't be fixed once they're broken. Maybe Darren's better off without me. Maybe he needs to find peace away from the chaos I created. But even if he doesn't come back, I hope he knows. I finally get it. I finally see everything he did for me, for us. I see it now, when it's too late. And that realization, that regret, weighs heavier on my heart than anything else.